कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकि कोकिलम्। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताया पतये नमः। जयत्याश्रितसन्त्रास ध्वान्तविध्वंसनोदयः प्रभावान् सीतया देव्या परमव्योमभास्करः परमव्योमभास्करः।
श्रीमते निगमान्त महादेशिकाय नमः। In Ayodhya Kandam, we have seen how the trio Rama, Sita and Lakshmana accepted the hospitality of Guha at Shringiverapura. Later, Bharadwaja at the confluence of Ganga and Yamuna, and finally reached Chitrakuta. This on one side. Parallelly, there is another set of events happening in Bharata's life in Kaikeyi Desham. Bharata, who was then in his maternal grandfather's house, Ashwapati Maharaja's house, as well as his uncle, who was extremely attached to Bharata, and Bharata, who was extremely attached to his brother Shatrughna, was living for a very considerable period of time along with their respective spouses in Kaikeyi Desham. That is when Bharata had this dream of his father Dasharatha laughing like a lunatic, running with a disheveled hair, jumping off the cliff into a dung pit, drinking jars of oil, and also eating a concoction of cooked rice and sesame. This did not give a very good picture to Bharata. Valmiki says, Swapne pitaramadraksham malinam muktamurdhajam patantamindriya shikharat kalushe gomaye klade plavamanascha me drishtaha satasmin pibananjanina tailam hasanniva muhurmuho tatastilodanam bhuktva punah punaraghashiraha te tailena sarvangastailame vadahata. This being the state of Dasharatha as seen by Bharata, he then wakes up Shatrughna and says, Jugupsaiva chatmanam naja pashyami karanam. I've started showing disgust to my own self, Shatrughna. I don't know for what reason, after having seen this in my dream, somehow I've started hating myself. Shatrughna tries and convinces Bharata not to worry. This is just a dream. That is when Bharata reflects. Shatrughna, in Sanatana Dharma, you must have heard of Swapna Shastra. Swapna cannot be discarded entirely. For those who adhere to the Shastras, of course, there is a statement of Paramatma, Ajna Chedi Mama Drohi Yachastra Vidhi Utsrujyam Vartate Kamakarataha Nasasiddhim Avapnoti, says Krishna. Yat Shastra Vidhim Utsrujyam, the one who follows Shastra, Vartate kamakarataha. In case that person does not follow, nasasiddhim avapnoti. There is no prosperity to that person. There is elsewhere another statement. Agya chedi mama drohi. He is against me, says the Lord. So adherence to the Shastras is what all our Purvacharyas and Siddha Purushas have tried to do. Nevertheless, there is no one monitoring body like the Western religions which will say you have not followed the book. So we will issue a death sentence to you. We will discard you. We will excommunicate you. There is no one such body. It is left to that individual whether to agree, disagree, follow or not follow. In any case, to a person who adheres Shastra, to a large extent, whatever is seen in the dream of the person, whether it be the man or the woman, a lot of it may come true or it may be an indication for the futuristic events. Just not swapna. Even while living, while you are awake, there are certain signs. For example, it is said that while you perform Sandhyavandhanam and when you look at the sun and during that point in time you see a black dot, large dot in the center of the sun when you are looking at it. It is said, again don't court martial me or sue me. This is what my Acharya who taught me Gita Bhashyam has told. In that case, it is an indication that very soon your Jivatma will depart from your body. 1. After bath, after cleansing yourself, when you look into the waters or in the mirror, if you look like a different person, you don't look like your own self, what you have been seeing all these days, you don't look like that person, then again that is an indication of death. These are all some of the signs, and I remember my Acharya who taught me Gita Bhashyam, Bhagavad Gita Bhashyam, who used to say that at a very young age, while he was seated and in his room and he was studying Shastra, his mother who took bath, draped herself in the sari and then came to the room and was seeing herself in the mirror to put tilakam. She told her son, my dear son, somebody else is there in the mirror. Who is it? At that point in time, my Acharya, being a very young boy, did not realize the impact of her statement. Probably in a day, her Jivatma departed from the body. So these are all some of the signs. So Bharata is a Paratantra. He exhibited Paratantriyam, Bhagavat Paratantriyam. So he knew that something wrong must have occurred. So he says, Shatrughna, we cannot discard this dream, saying it is just a dream. It has occurred in the early hours of the morning. Vyushtameva tutam ratrim drishtva tam swapnam apriyam putro rajadhirajasya subhrisham paryatapyata. So, Subhrisham Paryatapyata. So, now I see is what? I can see something bad happening in the future is what Bharata tells, Shatrughna. Meanwhile, the messengers who were dispatched by Vasishtha and the council of ministers, they arrive in Kaikeyi Desha. The moment the messengers arrive, and at that point in time is when Bharata tries to decipher the bad dream that he had with Shatrughna and these messengers arrive. It so happens that Bharata gets panic stricken. He asks the messengers first, Kaschit Sakushali Raja Pita Dasharatho Mama. Is your king, is my father, because his father is the king. Is your king, is my father, Kushali, is he happy? Kaschit sa Kushali Raja, Pita Dasharatho Mama, is my father happy? Is he fine? And then he continues further. See, if he asks a question to the messenger, Shatrughna will be shocked. Why is this man acting weird? In the morning, he wakes me up and says that I had a bad dream about our father. He justifies stating that the dream seen in the early hours of the morning will fructify. Now when the messengers come, he's panic stricken and he's asking if Dasharatha, my father, is good. What has happened to him? Would be running in the mind of Shatrughna. So Bharata turns towards Shatrughna, sees all these questions running at the back of his mind, and turns back to the messengers and asks the question in such a way that it answers Shatrughna's doubts. What were Shatrughna's doubts? Why is he so panic stricken? So he asks the messengers, Bharata asks, Atmakama sada chandi krodhana prajnamanini aroga chapi me mata Kaikeyi kimuvajaha. Atmakama sada chandi, self-centered, always short-tempered and fighting prone, very, very quick to come to opinions and form opinions, who's very, very, very selfish, self-centered, prestige conscious, short-tempered. What more do you need? Atmakama, Sadachandi, Krodhana, Prajnamanini. 4 adjectives Bharata uses. To whom? Atmakama, he asks the messengers. Atmakama Sadachandi Krodhana Prajnamanini Aroga Chapi me mata. My mother, Kaikeyi. So he uses 4 adjectives. Self-centered, prestige conscious, selfish, short-tempered. How is my mother? What does this prove? I've told you in one of the earlier episodes. Many Ramayana enthusiasts, neo activists, will immediately begin their process, find some random Ramayanas coming from nowhere. They will take 1 or 2 sentences appearing in some magazines or Quora.com and they will say, Sir, Kaikeyi was a very good woman, don't demonize her. She wanted to do something to Rama. They will try to justify. All this is irrelevant and not required in Ramayana. Just follow Valmiki. Valmiki is a recorder. He is a compiler. He records what has happened in Rama's life. He records every dialogue, rahasyamcha, prakashamcha, uttered by the primary characters. Just follow him. Let us not apply innovation where it is irrelevant and not required. So here the son has understood his mother very well. Nobody is giving the certificate. Son is giving. Self-centered, prestige conscious, short-tempered, selfish woman. Who is she? The messengers ask. My mother Kaikeyi. How is she? Arogaja pime mata. Is my mother free of diseases? She has already got 4. Is there any other disease there? Arogacha pime mata Kaikeyi kimuvajaha. How is this answering the doubts of Shatrughna? Because Shatrughna was, why is Bharata worried? His mother is the cause of worry. That is the answer. Now, when the messengers come in, Bharata asks these questions. But in the Tamil transcreation, which is Kambaramayanam, interestingly, intelligently, Bharata does not ask how is Dasharatha. He puts his question in a different way. Mudi Mudaya Mannannalama is the king, is the monarch who adorns the crown now. Well, is the monarch or the king who's adorning the crown now. Well, he is not mentioning the name of any king, Aja, Dasharatha, Rama, Raghu, nothing. At present, the person who is adorning the crown, the monarch, is he good? Because remember, when the messengers had left Ayodhya, Vasishtha had warned them, do not tell that Dasharatha is dead. So the messengers were in a fix. Wow, how to answer? Now, how will they answer this question of Bharata? Next episode.
Dear Astika reader,
I'm happy to be authoring a two-part book on the Ramayana in English. The first part is slated for release in the year 2024. The book aims to recreate and retell the Ramayana of Valmiki, conforming to the ancient commentaries and other allied literature. To receive notifications of the book release, kindly register with www.deshikadaya.org/books. Namaskaram.